Unemployed and Afraid acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on and of the land where you, the listener, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and extend our respect to any First Nations, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, acknowledging that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the messy middle of being out on your own and starting over with the people who've done it. I'm your host, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into today's story of starting over. Welcome. It's such a pleasure to have your ears today for another episode of Unemployed and Afraid, where we get to pick the brains of the incredible humans out there starting over and creating amazing careers. I have Emma Barr, founder of Yogi Peace Club, on the pod today, and we talk all about the ins and outs of starting a brand from the ground up and the importance of believing in your product and making it sustainable in growth as well as the planet. She has such an amazing energy and passion for life and, of course, for her brand, and just so much wisdom to generously share. If you're not a yoga lover already, you might just be after this. At the very least, I think you might be keen to don a pair of Emma's amazing creations and a big dose of her get it done and love what you do vibe. I hope you enjoy the chat and I would love to hear from you. So drop me a note on the Unemployed and Afraid Insta, Facebook, or of course, drop us a review. Enjoy the app. I'm joined today by passionate yogi Emma Barr. In 2014, Em left a family trip to Bali inspired to create a brand that invoked some of the most powerful aspects of yoga practice: connection, community, and inclusion. That brand became Yogi Peace Club, designed to bring out the inner yogi in everyone. Since then, Yogi Peace Club has been worn and the most beautiful mats practiced on by experienced and new lovers of yoga all around the world. Has been voted by Vogue as one of Australia's best activewear brands, featured in Elle magazine, WellBeing, Women's Health, and regularly in Yoga Journal. With such success and sustainability at its heart, you'd think there was a huge team behind Em and this wonderful brand, but it is just a handful of part-time superstars working to bring this brand to the world. Em is joining me from the gorgeous Victorian Surf Coast, and I cannot wait to hear all about her journey and the life of Yogi Peace Club. Em, welcome to Unemployed and Afraid.
Oh, hi, Kim. It's so nice to be here with you. Yes, it's actually a beautiful, humid day here on the surf coast in Torquay. So, yeah, it's good to be here.
I'm not so quietly jealous of your gorgeous part of the world. Whilst I'm lucky enough to live by the water here, it's a little bit colder in Tasmania at the moment than humid.
So I cannot wait to get to your part of the world. That is just the next thing I'm doing in April. I can't wait.
So exciting. You're going to have the best time here. It's a good part of the world. But the Surf Coast do seem to breed some fabulous entrepreneurs and creative people. So I am very, very excited to hear about how you came into this world. But before we get into your story, let's break the ice a little bit. I would love to know, how would your husband describe you?
Oh my God. I am so lucky to have the most gorgeous husband. He and I we're just partners. So like without him, I'm half a person, and I think he feels the same. So we've actually worked together for a long time. I worked at Reef. Well, my story is Roxy, then Reef, then Yogi Peace Club. So I worked with my husband for 10 years, and we're hopeless romantics. We can't leave each other's side. He would probably describe me as being a little bossy. But that's my fire sign. I'm a Leo, so I can't help myself. He's a Libran, so he and I have this balance, and I think he would probably say that I'm a little bit bossy, but we just adore each other. We're just eternally in love. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's just
not at all.
That's who we are. Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I'm an Aries, and my partner is a Libran, so I understand this dynamic completely.
Yes. Yeah. But he allows, I think what's so beautiful about him is that he allows me to be the person that I want to be. He doesn't ever question anything I do, and I think that's the underpinning of Yogi Peace Club, is that I've got this support that is there, and it's not always a vocal support, but it's just always there and guiding me. And when I have the tough days, he is just saying, don't worry, it's fine, whatever. Everyone goes through this. So I think that is really one of the reasons why the business is successful.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, of balance at home. So even though I'm bossy, I think that we're quite balanced, which is good.
Oh, that's so lovely. What a beautiful way to be described. I'm sure he's going to love hearing that. So let's go back a little bit. I want to know who you were before Yogi Peace Club was born.
Okay, so commerce degree, majored in marketing management, straight into the surf industry, a sales rep for Roxy for about 5 years. And I actually ran the whole of Victoria and Tassie, actually. I was the Roxy rep for Tasmania as well. I used to have to get on the ferry with the huge range and travel the state by myself. And I think doing that position, it was really tough. Like there was hardly any women in the surf industry at that point. I was one of the first female reps in, Victoria. There just weren't even surf industry reps at all. But that has given me resilience, I think, because it was tough work. It was male dominated. And then over time worked, within the surf industry. I ended up within that time frame of 10 years, I was the head or brand manager of Roxy Australasia. So I oversaw the marketing and design of Roxy, the surf brand, under Quicksilver. I sort of got to the sort of as far as I could within the company, and I was newly married and decided that there was more to life than just work and had something else to give. So I decided to quit my job. I had bought a really beautiful little house in Barwon Heads, and so I did a course through Melbourne Uni to run a bed and breakfast, because this was before there was Airbnb.
Wow, a little entrepreneur right back then. Yeah, little did you know.
I know. So that was my, so I basically ran that bed and breakfast and then went straight to Reef. And because Tim wanted some help with Reef, and it was really starting to grow in their women's side of the business. So I came in from a women's perspective for footwear. So Tim and I sort of developed a bit of a hub in Australia for Reef. So we'd have, it was another sort of Australasia community of like different distributors would come to Australia and meet with us, and they were some of the same people that I knew from Roxy, so they already trusted me. So we were able to really grow Reef in Australia. And then I was like, let's start doing men's apparel. So we became the hub for the design of the men's product for Reef clothing in Australia. And then, I don't know, around 2014, I'd had my daughter and my son. They were getting a bit older, and it was time to make another change. And I just, probably the thing that would happen was I'd go to fold the washing, the most mundane task, and I'd be folding the washing going, there's something else that I should be doing. And it was in those quiet times that I would go, I've got this very creative side that needs to be fulfilled. But at that point, then I was doing my yoga teacher training, and I was very immersed in yoga. Like I was practicing at studios at least 5 to 6 days a week, and then doing my teacher training, and it just all aligned for me. This was going to be my path. Started with incense. So Sophie had on recently, she's done her own incense line, but I started incense in 2014, and then it just all sort of came from that place, then to yoga mats, and then to the apparel.
Wow. And I imagine your yoga teacher training experience, having undertaken yoga teacher training myself, I know how self-reflective that experience can be, and heart opening is another way that I would describe it. Just
Absolutely.
A bit of unlocking of self. What was your experience like through that process?
Definitely. Like I've actually just recently gone back to doing some more training. One of the girls that works for me yesterday, she said, how many courses have you done in yoga? And I was like, probably way too many. Like the more you learn, you feel like the less you know with yoga.
So true.
So I'm just about to re-immerse myself with my original yoga teacher. I've actually got some training with her tomorrow. She asked me last week, why are you going back to teaching again? Because I haven't been teaching for the past couple of years. And I said to her that it's because I want to give. I feel like it's not it's not so much what I will get from it, but I will get so much from it. I'll be able to give. And I've had like so many struggles along the way over the past, as we age as women, like after kids, I've had injuries, I've had Ross River fever, which is a virus. Had lots of little obstacles along the way. My body's different now, and being that bit older, post babies, post injuries, I feel like I've got this opportunity in my life maybe to share yoga to women for the first time that potentially are my age that have been through something. So the reason I want to do back to teaching again is not to stand up in front, but to give something to those that are requiring, I don't know, movement, opening, like as you just said, that opening of the heart. Yeah, if they're injured and coming back to the mat. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think yoga teacher training definitely opens your mind and heart to new things. It's funny though, like all of my career path has led me to this point and led me to the point of Yogi Peace Club, but it was the yoga teacher training, working with rubber at Reef. So we're working with footwear. So it was like a lot of rubber materials in terms of the thongs, sandals, which in turn is yoga mats. So I understood like what makes things work, what materials shouldn't we use from an ethical standpoint, because Reef are all about sustainability as well. My experience at Roxy in design and marketing. So it just all came together around 2014. And I think you're right, that heart opening opportunity of yoga teacher training, it opens your mind and world to possibility. And it also gives you a sense of the ability to see rather than just be consumed with thoughts. You can see things more clearly of this is the path that I should be on, rather than like what's that classic quote where people say it's 99% action, only 1% idea, something like that. But it really is like, we have, as women, you have a million ideas during the day, and it's what you choose and the actioning of that is where your path begins. You know what I mean? So it's like
100%.
The teacher training allowed me to slow down, stop, reflect, understand where I'm going. But then it also opened up my mind to, okay, this requires a physical action. So calm mind, strong. And the same with yoga. It's like softness of the mind, not hardness of the body, but strong body, strong physical body, and strong action. So when you're on your mat, calm through breath and mind, but strong in the physical sense. So teacher training, I suppose, in some ways was the catalyst for me to go, yep, this is the path I'm going to take. And I've never looked back.
It's so exciting. And it really is that lesson in surrender, that ability to take something that's seeding in your mind and moving around and start to take that action, but then just be open to what happens next. It's like the first time you ever try to get into a headstand and, the moment that you just let go and then it happens and, you probably fall over. That naturally happens all the time. But you just give it a go and surrender into the moment, and you surprise yourself to see what comes next, which is really inspiring to hear. Nice to connect about that as well. What when the idea for Yogi Peace Club started to seed, what was your initial thoughts with where it might go or what it might be?
So I've through my whole life, have no expectations, because as soon as we set ourselves up for an expectation, it's never achieved, because whatever you think in your head, it's not going to become that. So my first thought was not what it's going to be, but what it can be from another heart space is a club. So that's why it's called the Yogi Peace Club, because we want people to feel like they are part of something. I think I really got that from when I worked at Roxy. When you used to wear Roxy back in early 2000s, if you would wear Roxy, you were part of the surfing community, because it's like a badge of honor. Like, that's changed now because people are not brand loyal like they were 20 years ago. But for Yogi Peace Club, that's the place that I wanted to create, is a place that when you wear Yogi Peace Club, when you use Yogi Peace Club, you're part of something. It's a broader connection to the community that you're not even aware of. But I want people to feel like they're actually part of something. And it's not based on ego. It's about being based on like community, and that anyone can be part of this.
Yeah, and I can see the yoga roots there starting to come through, that connection to community. What were your, I guess, early daydreams in getting started with the brand? You mentioned that you started with incense and then into t-shirts. So what were you starting to see at that time that was emerging, and what were your dreams in where it was going?
Well, I think printed yoga mats just weren't, they weren't around. Like printed yoga mats weren't a thing. Everyone was just using a black mat and taking that to yoga. So my love of prints, I was like, I wonder if we could try and source this. So the first thing I did was I bought a black mat, just a plain rubber mat, and I took it to a local print house and just got it printed. And I took it to a yoga class, and people were like, what the hell is that? That is amazing. Cool. And it was just a piece of my artwork that I'd put on it. It had sort of like this, I don't know, distinctive sort of Eastern sort of look to it. But it was bright. It was really fun and bright. Anyway, we used it and all the print just rubbed off. Like, so I was like, well, that's not going to work. You can't just print on rubber. So then we had to source somewhere that could print on a material that wouldn't fade or wouldn't come off. So that's when we started sourcing a rubber base with a microfiber top. Yeah, so that was kind of that was probably the one thing that sort of, put Yogi Peace Club on the map, I suppose. The incense was just the little stepping stone. Some t-shirts for fun, which sold out straight away. Like we did like coconuts about yoga and aloha namaste, and just really fun sort of brandy kind of kitsch sort of things, statements. And then the mats were definitely the catalyst for allowing the brand to sort of look different amongst the yoga community. And now since we've done that, there's so many other, well, I've actually seen a lot of mats come and go and a lot of brands do it. The thing with yoga mats though is they are bulky and they are heavy and you got to warehouse them. So it's not an easy thing to just go into business to do, because it's not like selling jewelry. You know, like jewelry's like tiny and you can ship it really easily. Like the mats, it's a commitment. We order in containers of yoga mats.
And I can imagine that was a bit of a challenge through periods of like COVID, when supply chains were challenged. That would have been really hard to get through.
Yeah, it was. Shipping's like 5 times the price, and I can't see it going back. It's so expensive. Yeah. And we have to sea freight everything because it's so big, so bulky, and they're really heavy. Like when you have boxes of rubber yoga mats, it's not like shipping a t-shirt. Like it requires strength, and some days you don't want to do that.
Yes.
Like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah. That'd be keeping your arms very, very strong.
Yes.
But it's really interesting to hear that, you got started with a stepping stone. You just started with something small and just trusting instincts and seeing where it's going. That's it's often a journey that, I enjoy really hearing that, because often when you're thinking about starting something new, the end goal might be what's in mind. What is it going to look like in 10 years with 100,000 followers and, tens of thousands of sales all around the world. But by just starting with a product and a brand promise and then going into the next space, that's so interesting. And it answers one of my questions I wanted to know, which was, did the name come first or the creations? It sort of sounds like the brand and then just evolved from there.
Yeah. And that's a thing. My business advice to anyone that's starting a brand, number one, start simple. You have to just make it as simple as possible. If you're marketing even 5 things, like that requires 5 times the amount of time. So it's so important just to start with that one thing, get that right, and then expand. And and then it comes back to the other point I made, just have no expectations. And like, I know I've done business plans after business plans for Quicksilver and also for Reef. We plan only about, at the most, we do our big collab marketing way in advance just due to product deadlines, but we are very pliable, flexible, reactive, and we don't plan too much. Like the branding is all done, but our everyday is very flexible. So we don't go too deep into where we want to be and what we want to do. Some things, of course, but I just think all this expectation that we work on as business owners, it's too much because mentally you'll fatigue. Whereas if you just stay focused on simple tasks, getting that done, at the end of the day, you can go, yeah, tick, I've done it. And that's from a lived experience. I know that I've done that too much, but now I'm at a point I understand that you've got to simplify to be successful. Otherwise, you won't get anything done. It just doesn't happen. Simple is best.
Yeah, it's so true. That pressure that we place on ourselves to be everything all at once and as quickly as possible can be very, very paralyzing.
Totally. And then the next thing that happens is the comparison.
Oh.
So then that's what's the next part. So you're not hitting your targets, your expectations of what it should be. And then all of a sudden you go, oh my God, that brand's done that. And that's what I was thinking. Why has that happened? And oh my God, I can't believe that we've missed that opportunity and we should have been doing that. Why? It's like, nah, you've got to drop that. You've got to drop expectations because otherwise your times are spent worrying about that. It's for us, I've got a vision of who we want to be and we're just staying on that path. And once again, coming back to yoga, staying on that true path, on your dharma. If you're in tree pose, your vision, staying grounded.
Exactly right. Exactly. And it's just about getting started and trying new things. I saw a great quote that stays with me more than others do at the moment, which is to create before you consume. And we're all guilty of, maybe not all of us, but certainly me. I'm guilty of waking up in the morning and checking emails, checking socials, kind of clicking around a little bit before I'm working on the business or working on what I'm doing. And
yes,
I find it's just so important to wake up and invest some time into whatever it is you're doing for your own creation, be it a brand, an art practice or otherwise, before having a look at what everybody else is doing and letting that cheeky little imposter syndrome or comparisonitis get stuck into us before the day goes on.
But it also like a gratitude practice at the start of the day, waking up and thinking, oh, I've got all this great stuff that's happening. I'm so grateful for this. But even like sometimes there's not great stuff happening and you fixate on the not so great. It's just remembering, and I often do this, is health. Because I've been through some health issues, like I just come back to the fact I'm healthy, my kids are well, my husband's well. They're the moments that I try to start my day with rather than, yes, I love that. So create gratitude, then consume.
Yes. Eat something healthy, have a nice cuppa, then consume. So in getting started, right back in those days, and I guess you've had a few little moments of starting over from creating the incense. I mean, right back to the beginning of your career, of course, and all those wonderful changes, but even just within Yogi Peace Club, creating the incense, creating fun, fabulous t-shirts, and then creating the mats and then letting that evolve. What has been your steepest learning curve through some of those processes?
There's so many. It's probably you have to just learn everything. I mean, you don't have to, unless you've got a big investor and you've got a massive team, completely different. But if you're an owner operator, you have to learn everything. So there are daily learning curves. And I feel like there's none that really stand out to me because there's so many times I'm like, I don't know how to do this. How am I going to learn? Who do I call? Let's just jump on and try and Google it. Like every day. I mean, there's just so many. And over time, this feeling of like the learning, it's the teaching you resilience. At the start of Yogi Peace Club, probably the first, say, up to 4 years of doing it, so many times I would think someone else would have given up today because that's how bad sometimes these situations are where you go, oh my God, I didn't realize I was, for example, one time I put the wrong, in logistics when you're shipping, there's different codes for different shipments and how they come in. they can cost you thousands of dollars if you put the wrong code. Cost me like $5,000 because I got the wrong thing. So the shipment was all buggered up, and you cry, and then you think, and there's like so many times when you get stock in and it's wrong, and you're just like, well, that's great. Like, they've stuffed that up. I can't sell that now. That happens. That does happen. Like, that's
Really?
100%. You've got to absorb it, and you have to expect that that's going to happen, because if you're using new suppliers and you put your heart out there and hopefully they do a good job, but if it comes back and you've already bought the production and it's landed, like, there are days that you go, someone would have given up today. So the learning curve is to not give up. It's to know that there'll be this. It's constantly, but it goes like that, and then your business grows. But it's constant learning, constant trying, constant frustration, but it's balanced with success, with recognition, with people loving your products. So I feel as though the balance it's way in that favor and less in the learnings. But if you don't accept the fact that it's going to be really hard and it's going to take a long time to build a brand, and an example of this is the other day I was just going through who I follow on Instagram, and I went back through a lot of brands, and I'm like, oh, they don't exist anymore. Life cycles of brands, it can be over so quick. You can run out of money really quick. So you've got to be really careful, unless you've got an investor. We have it. We're self-financed. I've done it slowly, organically. Sell something, we buy some more. That's been our model. Don't want to put the mortgage the house for this. Like, just be sensible, be smart.
That's great advice. And you're so right. The highs with any kind of small business or any kind of creative practice or any task that you're doing that's focused around you as a human, putting yourself out there, trying new things. The highs are so high and the lows are so rough. That having something in the middle to help you come back and be grounded. I know for me, my meditation practice got more, I would say, regular, but more intense probably about 18 months ago. And it's something that even if it's just 3 to 5, up to 20 minutes a day, but just a few minutes just to sit and ground at the beginning of the day has been so important, because goodness me, is it a roller coaster doing even the smallest of things and the smallest of challenges. So it's scary trying new things and putting yourself out there no matter the scale. But having that ability to have grounding, to have gratitude, to have our practice, whatever fits you.
And know that every brand has its challenges. Sometimes you feel like you're alone, but you're not. Every small business is faced with challenge. I mean, if you put yourself out there, if you build a house, how hard is that? Like, building a house is really hard work. Like, it is like building a house. It's a solid foundation. You start framing, it starts to come together, you get the look of what it is, but along the way there's going to be so many things that go wrong. Like, I didn't know the tap was going to go there. That is how it is. And I feel as though being a small business, like, the comparison, you always have to remind yourself, they do look really good, but I bet they have their struggles as well. Like, it's not easy. And if anyone says that it's easy, then I don't know, like, I would question that.
And just, starting right into basics, going right back to creating this wonderful brand, which it feels very fun. It does feel very inclusive. You have a wonderful community that you've created of yoga teachers and yoga ambassadors and people who just love the brand. How did it feel to start promoting Yogi Peace Club to the world, and where did you start?
Well, back then that was Instagram. It was so easy because the algorithm was so...
How good was Insta back in like 2014, 15?
It was just, you didn't have to do anything. So definitely Instagram was our first platform. We started straight away with a solid direct mail out, so an EDM newsletters, just have built that from day dot. And what I love about the fact with our subscriber list, we own that. It's not run by Instagram. That's our list. So they are people that are invested in the brand. They want to be part of it. It can never be taken from us. So I think that is a really good place to start if you're a small business, rather than focusing putting all your eggs into social media, a subscriber list is so powerful. So that was, really important to get that happening. Good quality content, making sure that whatever we put out there is of high quality, and using photographers, investing into the marketing of the brand is good photos. I mean, it all stems from really good product though. Our number one is product. So if we get the product right, then we're happy to go to market with it, and then we're happy to spend money on Facebook advertising strategy. Google Analytics provides us the ability to see that, Google Ads works for us. I mean, it's getting tougher for sure. As if you were starting a small business now, it would be so hard to get your name out there unless you had spending a lot of money on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Even the micro influencer world is not as easy as it was, and even the big influencer world is not. It doesn't always relate to sales. It's all changed and quite quickly. I think we've noticed it just even in the last 6 months that it's got harder. Just because I think, the algorithms seem to change and they just want to funnel you into paying for something. So just, we just try to do really good organic content, but we're a small team and all of that takes so much time. So sometimes, I just feel as though I've just got to tick off the big items, which are spending time on developing product. Product will lead to word of mouth. Someone takes the Yogi Peace Club mat into the yoga studio and rolls it out. They're like, where's that from? And that's probably the underpinning of the brand, is that we have a distinctive look. So once again, if you are thinking of starting a brand yourself, you cannot do what's already there. Like, you have to be creative. It has to be different. The big brands such as like Cotton On, they just come in and they just rip the hell out of you and copy everything that you do, and then they sell it cheap. It's a really hard time, like, to be something that's different.
And can see that happens. It's, things start to get a little bit of traction, and then they often get picked up by a big company. And it's hard when you're a small person, I imagine, or a small team, to be able to even plan for something like that, learning from Google Analytics to then, do we trademark? How do we do that? And like everything, it comes back to that huge, steep learning curve of how to manage this when you're starting small and getting things going. And I mean, it's so interesting to hear you talk as well about trying to cut through in the algorithm. I think a lot of brands that pop up into Instagram think, great, X brand has, 20,000 followers, 40,000, 50, 100. But, I have a small audience, but even still, most of my posts and stories go to 10%.
I know.
Of the people that actually follow me. That's all, seeing those insights. And we don't talk often enough about that. I have a look at my insights, and I'll do a post and it will be, maybe quite successful in terms of the audience size, but it's still only 20% of the people that are actually following me who see it. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I've just noticed a lot of people are putting stuff on Instagram now saying, I'm so disappointed that Instagram's doing this. Like, it's definitely trending right now that people are just like, what do we do? And whether or not there's a new platform, because a lot of, I suppose, my demographic that are not interested in TikTok because it's just too young, but their algorithm's amazing because it does show you what you want to see, but at the same time it's not pleasing to the aesthetics of someone like myself, because I don't resonate with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's far more of that entertainment factor,
funny, whereas I just like Instagram is so beautiful because the visuals that you receive. So it's such a shame. I think there's a definite uptake of Pinterest again. There seems to be.
I was just thinking about Pinterest as well. How much it's being talked about at the moment as a great platform for visual creations and for reach.
Yeah, definitely. And for a brand like us, we are so visual. So we need to spend more time on Pinterest, but haven't quite got there yet.
Oh, like everything, we add it to a list and
add it to the list.
Keeps growing.
Yes.
Google a quick. I know I've been meaning to Google on YouTube. How to engage well on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Everything is a learning, and we
it is.
Keep trying.
Keep trying.
And how do you want to see Yogi Peace Club evolve? But also, how do you want to see yourself evolve alongside of the brand?
I feel like on the creative side, I just love it. So I just always play a part as in a creative role. I really want to get back into my practice and teaching as well, which I feel intertwines beautifully with the brand. Even though I'm a strong extrovert and I'm very social, my biggest flaw with Yogi Peace Club is that I sort of hide behind the brand. And for me to step out and like speak to the audience from a yoga perspective, it's a big step for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit frightened to do it. I'm just not sure if I want to do that. I feel like I could be judged or say the wrong thing, but it is a step that I would like to take. So if going forward, I would love to do that, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. But from day-to-day business, I just love what I do. I'm so passionate. So I'll just continue doing what I'm doing and see where it takes us. We've got some really exciting collaborations this year. Yeah. And the great thing about us is even though we're paying for some of our ads on Instagram and Facebook, we've never paid anyone. Like, we just don't have to pay influencers. They just come, like, amazing girls that are like, can I just have some Yogi Peace Club? I just want to wear it. And like just this week, there's an influencer that was like, this is like the best stuff I've ever put on. She's like, your fits are amazing. Your leggings don't normally fit me properly, but these are amazing. So and it comes back to product, and it is the key to a business. Like, you're only so good as your product is. Like, my role is to make sure that our product is what our audience wants and that we're making products that last. So even though we're using eco fabrics, our sustainability policy is products that last. So how can it be if you're using eco fabrics? Yeah, great, but they don't last and they bunch up and they bag out, and you wash them a couple of times and it's not fitting properly. How is that sustainable? That is not sustainable at all. So we just don't get returns. Even on our mats, people do not send our products back. We hardly even get people exchanging our size. I think because we put so much time into developing our products that when people put them on, they're like, these fit me like so well. And like, it's taken years to get to this point. It doesn't just happen overnight, but we've streamlined our fits now. Like, if I was to send you a pair in your size now, you'd put them on and go, wow, these fit so well. And I mean, I probably need to put more of that on our Instagram. Like, there's just the testimonials, the messages we get back from customers. So that's sort of my role is going forward. I'd love to step out on a yoga front, but also just making sure what we're delivering is meeting the customer's expectation in terms of fit, quality, design, and that it's going to last.
Such a great strategy. And I can understand completely how nerve-wracking it is to step out from behind anything. I remember I remember meaning to go on and do a little piece to camera and just kind of chat and let people a bit more into my ceramic creation process. And I was like, I must have recorded it like 100. And I've actually kept them on my phone because it's a very funny experience going back and watching them again. But even on the smaller scale, I know how scary it can be to put yourself out there for potential judgment,
totally
potential feedback you never asked for all the judgment that we assume people are making in their own little private, conversations with other people. Like, we make up a lot of stories for ourselves, but I keep coming back to, I'm not sure where I read it, but I know I've read it a few times, is we think about ourselves so much more than anybody else ever does.
Yes.
So getting yourself out there it's just taking the pressure off a little bit and knowing that I am sure you will be so supported on your platform. And I think it's incredibly brave whenever anybody puts themselves out there, because I understand how hard it is to put yourself out there for criticism. But anybody who's criticizing another human for doing something that they're passionate about needs to take a little look at themselves, maybe spend some more time on the mat.
Totally. Yeah. Well, yoga recognizes imperfections as well, you know, like we're not striving to be perfect. Yeah. If they judge, then they're not being very yogi, are they?
No, exactly right. Exactly. I always get analogies wrong. So I get a real fear about going, even on the podcast, I'm going to say something stupid. Thank God I can hopefully edit myself.
Yeah.
Silly. So I know what you mean. And I can attest to the quality of your beautiful products. I have your Shavasana wrap from winter last year sitting on my lap at the moment. So cozy, and I just absolutely love it. It makes it a beautiful experience when you sit down on your yoga mat or sit down for a meditation, to be able to have something that you've invested in for yourself, but also for your practice, that is designed to reconnect you deeper to yourself. You know, it's just a wonderful part of ritual. I think there's a lot of yogis and aspiring yogis out there who are just very happy that you went and created that incense and went and created those t-shirts and challenged yourself with the mats to go on to the next stage. How can the listener and I support you on your journey as you continue?
Just being part of Yogi Peace Club, like anything. We love messages. So if anyone ever wants to start a conversation on Instagram with us, on our website, we just love feedback from anyone. Like, don't even have to be into yoga. We actually have a lot of people that just do Pilates or just want to wear Yogi Peace Club, because our leggings are definitely not just for the studio. You can wear them as a fashion piece as well. So they can join us by looking at our website, yogipeaceclub.com, and we are a small team. So it's all like everyone knows everything that's going on. It's not like we've got different departments or anything. We're all very hands-on. So
How many of you are there?
So at the moment there is 5. Yeah. So we're very small, and the girls are part-time as well. So I suppose we work hard, like when we're working. That I actually work really hard. I don't know how many hours I do. I'm very hands-on. I run every aspect of the business, really. So even though I'm not officially trained, I know how to use Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, website. Yeah, so because I do that, I do a lot of the way I do the website myself. Yeah, we don't really outsource. I think that would cause you to lose money very quickly, because it's so expensive to outsource creatively. That's another little business tip. I think whatever you go into, make sure you know how to do it, because as soon as you engage someone, it's just so expensive unless you've got an investor.
Yes.
But if you're doing it yourself, you have to know what you're doing. I think some people go, I'm going to start a brand, and it's like, yeah, but do you know, have you done any of this before? Do you understand what's involved? Do you know that you're going to be working all the time? I mean, there's so many more things we could be doing as Yogi Peace Club, but I'm containing it because I want to be able to execute what we're doing. So I could open shops. I could offer wholesale to heaps of accounts. We could be on the Iconic. We could be doing so much more, but our strategy is keep it contained. We want to be there in the long run. Sustainable growth, sustainable products. That's how we're going to win in the end. If anything's rushed and not thought through, and there's too much time invested in all these other variables, we will not succeed. Yeah. I mean, I have grand visions like yoga studio, Yogi Peace Club shop attached with cafe, warehouse out the back. Amazing. How good does that sound? But really, like, is that going to be a profitable business? It's going to survive in the future. There's rent, there's wages, there's superannuation, there's insurance. You have to have a really sound business head to know that it's not that easy. You have to do things incrementally. And before you mention trademarks, that's the first thing you have to do, is get a trademark. If you don't have a trademark, your business is worth absolutely zero. So that's your intellectual property. So if I didn't have Yogi Peace Club trademarked, I don't have a business. To do that, it's about $4,000. if you do it yourself. I did it myself. That was another steep learning curve.
Wow, that I can imagine.
And I trademarked in overseas as well. It was full on. And they were days where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm self-doubting. But if you go and get a lawyer to do a trademark lawyer, it's minimum 12 grand. So it's like, yeah, I'm not trying to put people off starting a business, but you have to really think about these things. I mean, you can do a hobby. A hobby is so different. Like if you want to just start small and start simple, see if it works, that's a great idea. Because also from a taxation point of view, you can run a hobby business. You don't have to have all those things. But if you're seriously considering starting a small business, there are so many elements, so many things, domain names, like securing everything so that people can't just come and take what you've created. So yeah, there's many aspects, but it's all good. But it's just like it takes time, and it's you've got to love what you're doing.
That's such great advice, because there is so much that feels unattainable, but knowing and trusting yourself that you can, if you make that commitment, get through and learn how to do it and find ways to make it work is wonderful advice. And while it might, for a listener at home, if you don't have a brand and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, how am I going to climb that mountain to even get to learning how to trademark? It's just one step at a time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Websites these days help us get there. There are so many platforms that we can learn and do, but yeah, it's a big investment of you into the brand. But
yeah,
the passion is inspiring. I am sure that no matter what curly thing gets thrown in the future, you are going to Google and find your way through it and absolutely smash it. I am going to make sure that we have the link to your website, of course. Listener has to go and have a look at all the adorable things. The new print that is out now, I believe, is the Elements collection. Is that right?
Yeah, we've got the Elements. We've just launched one that we're donating back to the Marine Mammal Society as well. So we've got, like lots of new things on the website that people can have a look at.
Fantastic. There's so much great stuff to look at there. And of course on your Instagram as well. And if by the time we have our website, if by the time we have our episode out, and you're on Pinterest too, I'll even add that.
Yes.
But all of that detail will be in the show notes. It has been such a pleasure to chat with you today and learn about your journey with Yogi Peace Club, it's happening, but I don't think it's anywhere close to being finished. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Thank you so much, Kim.
Oh, my absolute pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the stories of starting over with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you liked the episode and are keen to hear more, please hit the follow button and leave a review. And let's keep the conversation going on Instagram at Unemployed and Afraid, where there's more goodies and links to today's show notes. See you there.